everyone. I've had an amazing amount of people that have inquired about how these batteries are attached to the Splashdrone 3 that I've got. I bought the Splashdrone 3 when they first came out, so it's probably about 4 or 5 years old now, and although I was initially a little bit disappointed on things that weren't going right, since I've modified it, I'm very actually pleased with it now. Some of the prices of the pieces in New Zealand, like spare batteries, are very expensive, and because they're not smart batteries that are in them and they've got to be discharged, I've wrecked a few batteries, and so have my friends that have got them, so I've changed over from instead of using lithium polymer batteries, I'm using me.I lithium ion batteries. They don't need the same amount of looking after. You can leave them fully charged or discharged, it won't damage them. So I've cut out this piece of aluminium, this shape. It didn't start out like this. I just had the middle piece that I had initially, and I'd used other bits of aluminium because I'd tried different batteries on the outside of the drone, aftermarket type batteries. Still wasn't satisfactory, and then I tried plastic around the back because I thought it may interfere with the signals. But anyway, I've now discovered that bits of wire hang down doesn't seem to affect it. So I have made this up. Now, the two batteries, they are 18 volt. I know initially your drone is running on 16.8 or it's 14.4. That's the voltage when the thing is discharged. That's how they calibrate lithium polymer batteries. These are 18 volt me.I batteries, and these charge up to just over 20 volts when they're fully charged. With the drone, at about 15 volts, I'd make sure I'm heading back to shore with it, because at about 14.4, 14.6, the thing's going to start landing by itself, which is you don't want it. With what I've done, if this lands in the sea, that's the end of the drone. I've lost a couple of drones, not these ones, but I've lost a couple of others in the water, always my own fault. So anyway, I'll show you how the batteries hook on. The two positives are connected together, the two negatives are getting together. It's onto a, I think it'd be called an XT60 plug, which is the type of plug which is inside these particular drones. So the two batteries, they just click onto either side here, like that, and it's going to mount up that way. Now I've put a couple of pieces of foam rubber here because the bottom of the drone's not flat, and I just wanted it to sit correctly. Now I've made up some other legs here. These legs are made of spring steel, stainless steel, so they are very strong, and they won't break, and I'll show you how it acts like a bit of suspension in it. So I've got one of the screws that's holding the battery adapter in, goes right through, a little bit longer, and I've made up some little thumb wheels here that will just screw on to hold that in place. Means that when you're out on the beach or somewhere like that, it's nice and easy to put together, and you don't want little nuts and bolts out on the beach because you're likely to lose them. So those screw on there. Now admittedly, these batteries are, although the actual battery is one of these batteries is lighter than one of your lithium ion batteries, you can more or less say this is twice the weight. These are 6 amp hours. Now the two of those together is going to give me nominally 18 volts at 12 amp hours, which is the equivalent of 12,000 milliamp hours. The original battery that came in the drone is 5,200 milliamp hours, so this is twice the weight. I'll just give you an indication, dropping it on the table here, about the suspension. Now you try that with your ordinary drone. You can see it's got a reasonable amount here to spring up and down. Right, now the next part, I'm going to change from showing you that to the dropping mechanism that a few people have been interested in, and I have bought just a standard little ball catch here on there, and I've made up a tiny little piece of aluminium which I've machined down. It's got a hole. It's offset because if you look at the model dropping mechanism that comes with it, the hole is not in the middle anyway. So I've put that there, and I just want to show you the little arm. This little arm will snap into there, but you can see it's quite loose here to move, so that when the servo is activated, it's got to be able to pull that out. It's only when something jams up that it will pop out. And it also means that it's very, very easy to fasten the cord from the sinker. And I've just got a piece of cord here. I'll show you what would happen. You'd hook your fishing line onto there and it will snap in, and it'll sit in that V, so it maintains it in the same position each time. Right, now the other thing that's on here that you may be interested in, if you ever, on the original one, have ever got that plunger jammed, it breaks. This used to be plastic, and it breaks it because there's only the screw holding that in, and there's a set of splines inside on the thing, on the shaft coming out from the servo. They won't break, but it'll break the piece of plastic, and mine broke through there. I couldn't be bothered waiting to get a spare part, so I've made one up out of aluminium, and I've got it clamped around here, so it's very, very strong. It won't move on that part. Anyway, that's besides the point. So I'll show you what happens when we mount this in here. I've got quite a long screw to go through here. A little bit awkward to get it through, and because my fingers are too fat, I've got to hold this in with a pair of pliers just to get it started, and we'll wind that in. I should really have used a shorter screw, but this doesn't matter. It's okay to do the job. And just get a larger screwdriver. I've actually disconnected the camera just while I've done that, and you can see now that that pops in there and it will pull out. If I operate the servo, it'll go back that way. And I'll just pop the camera on here because I had to take that off to get access to that screw. Although if you used a screw with a internal hexagon head on it, you'd be able to get an Allen key in there and you wouldn't have to worry about this. You've got to be careful playing around with these little screws because they're so tiny. These are only a 2.5mm screw, and it's very easy to actually lose them. Don't want to get it crossed, and here we go, put it in there. We'll just dip it up so there's enough friction just to hold that where we want. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put this onto the drone. So we'll get the drone. Notice I haven't got the propellers on at the moment, so I'll tip it upside down. And I've actually made a different base for this because of something else I was doing. But you don't really need to actually replace that. So I drop this on top. Now you may wonder what all these other holes are for. The drone I've got's come with a camera, and these are, in those holes there, all the rubber mounts go into it. So we pop that on there. The locking screw will go in at the front. And my little marks that I've got to line up is on here and here. I'll just push them in, that'll be all right for the moment. And the plug that I've got is over here. Now I haven't actually cut into any of the wiring inside the drone. I've made up a little tiny piece of fairly thick wire, but 2 poles between here and inside, and I've put a male and a female one of these plugs on either end. And I've done something else as well. So I haven't cut into any of the wiring in the drone. I've put plugs on it. And when I turn it over, you'll see I've actually put a switch into the top of here. When these drones came out, they didn't have a switch, so every time you turned the thing on and off for calibrating it, you had to flick, get inside here and disconnect it and that, and I found it a damn nuisance, so I put a switch in. But I think the drones now are all coming out with switches in it. Now if we turn the controller on, so we turn that on, and obviously the power is now connected onto here, and it is showing, so I'm inside, so we won't worry about connecting up to any satellites, but if I put it into ATI mode, it should connect, and it should, yeah, so it's connected up, and it will run inside. I'm not going to fly it inside, obviously. Right, and we should be able to see this dropping mechanism. Here's our release switch here, and you see it pulls it out. All right, so I'll put it back in again, in there, and I can do two things. If I want to, I can pull that. If I'm worried about my drone, something going wrong with the line on the way, I can pull it, it'll break away, or I can operate that and it'll pull out. Now, what I'm going to do to show you how that fits together, I'm just going to put this piece of line on there. Now, I've used heavy line so that you can see it. If it was a thin bit of nylon, you wouldn't be able to. In actual fact, I would never ever use a line as short as that down to the sinker. I would make it a lot longer than that, because I would make that from the line down to the first sinker, I'd make it at least 2 meters to anywhere between 2 and 10 meters. You want a long way down so that your line coming in from the shore is nowhere near the propellers. Right, now we'll drop that. It's only going to fall on the table, and if you're filming up underneath, you'll see it drop. Bang. Now I'll do that again. We put the cord on, snap it into place, and you'll notice that's a lot quicker than trying to hold the drone, operate that and everything. I can do this all on my own, all right, and I won't drop it so far because I know it's a glass table. Bang, and it falls away. Okay, so that's all the modifications that I have done for it. Everything else is fully operational. Okay, hope you've enjoyed that, and if there's any questions or anything that I can help you with, just leave a note on the Facebook page. It's only a hobby that I do with the drone. I'll just show you it actually bouncing up and down. You can see when it lands, you can see there. And with the I've set that release mechanism with the little screws in the side of it to just over 2 kilograms with a digital meter, and it's remarkable at how close to that same dropping away load that it happens all the time. I've tried, at the moment, I've tried lifting a kilogram weight with it, no trouble at all. I think it would probably lift 2 kilograms without any trouble. You can hear when the motor is going, it has really got some power in it compared with the other batteries. If you tie this down, before I put the batteries in, I wanted to see how much power these things use. With it tied down, one of the other original batteries in it, tied down to a table so it can't fly off, and you're giving it full power, it's drawing about 35 amps, which is a lot of power. So consequently you need reasonable sized wires for carrying that load. Now it's not going to be using 35 amps when it's flying along in the air. In fact, when it's flying, the load's going to actually drop down on it, but it's best to have more power than what you need. So I'm very happy about the way it's going. The Makita batteries, I've got 4, and these particular model ones that are coming out now have got a meter on the end that'll show you how much power is in them. These are 5 amp hour, I've got 6 amp hour, I've got a couple of 5 amp hour ones as well, because they were selling them on a special. With it at the moment, I've only been going out about 500 meters. I can carry my baits, normally 6 or 8 baits out, plus the sinkers, to 500 metres. I can get easily 3 goes out. It goes out, to go 500 metres, it takes 1 minute and 2 seconds going out. Coming back with the return to home button, it takes about 2 minutes to come back because it's going slower on the way back. I can put that out 3 times with all those baits, and at about 250 metres with a smaller rod, I can put that out about 5 times, and I've still got plenty of power in the battery. There was no way I could do that with the original battery. So overall, I'm very pleased with the way it's all going. So I hope you've enjoyed looking at that, and give you some ideas. Probably one day it'll fall into the sea and that'll be the end of it, but that's just one of the joys of having a drone. Okay,